Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing this guitar tumbler. As always, I'll make sure to put everything I used today into the description box below so that way you guys can shop those items if you would like to. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's wake up, prep these tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. I've already prepped my tumbler, and I've also primed it in this rustic pink by Rust-Oleum. It is a really beautiful neutral base color. I'm going to be using the epoxy method to adhere my glitter down today. The reason for that is because I'm using chunky glitters, and this really does help out with laying those glitters down perfectly smooth for us. I'm just applying 10 milliliters of epoxy, and I'm using all 10 mLs of that. Now that my epoxy is all smoothed onto the surface of the tumbler, I'm going to go ahead and adhere my glitter. The glitter I'm going to be using today is called Strawberry Blonde, and you can purchase that at scglitters.com if you would like to. Since I'm using just one glitter, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and glitter on my bottom. Then I'll move up by the rim and fill in the rim with my glitter, and then I will come through and just fill in the rest of the base with the rest of my glitter. Once that's nicely coated, I'll go ahead and take my opposite gloved hand and push any chunky glitter off around the rim, and then I'll come through and tap anything down. Now, because I sprinkled it on and because we used a bit more epoxy than usual, it's already pretty flat for me. I'm just really making sure that there's no awkward pieces that are still poking up. And then I'll simply set that aside and let that epoxy cure. So before we move on to epoxy, we need to go ahead and seal our glitter. The reason why I'm going to seal down my glitter is because the big flat surface of the larger chunky glitters could possibly wick away the epoxy, causing dimples or fish eyes, and we don't want that. So sealing it down is just an extra precaution we take, so that way that doesn't potentially happen. So you could either use a liquid sealer like I'm doing here, or you could use a spray sealer. Either way is completely up to you. I set that off to the side to dry, and now we're ready to apply our epoxy. So I'm using 20 milliliters of epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and apply that straight over top of our raw glitter. I'm going to place that onto my turner. I'm going to hit it up really good with my torch. I'm going to let that cure, and while that's curing, I am going to go ahead and get all of my vinyls cut out. So I have to say, probably the hardest thing with this tumbler, it's all the vinyl work that we have to do, but I know you guys got this. I know you can do this. So I found this guitar SVG right off of Creative Fabrica. So the one there I've already messed around with, and I've already done everything I need to do with it, but I want to show you guys what it looks like once you get it into your design space, so you know what you need to do. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your sizes are proportionate before we do anything else, which when it's uploaded, I like the size that it is, so I kept it at that size. The next thing you want to do is make sure everything's highlighted, and you want to ungroup all of your decals from each other, so that way we can move them apart and cut out the different things that we need to. So I put the strings off to the side because I'm actually going to leave that gray. It'll make it easier for us in a minute. I'm actually going to just delete the position markers there, and I can add those later with marker if you want to. Now, if you move those circle rings apart, they do come apart and you can add different colors to it, but I didn't feel like doing all that. So I'm actually just going to keep this all one color. It's all going to be black, and I'm going to highlight it so that way it stays in the position that it is in whenever it gets cut. Trust me, it will make it so much more easier because I put it all apart and I didn't do that. So I'm just letting you guys know, highlight it all together, weld it together, and it will all cut in one piece, and you don't have to worry about figuring out the position of everything that needs to be. So now I'm going to do some peekaboo of music notes. So I brought in some music notes. I'm going to ungroup that, and I am just going to make sure that everything is the size that I want it to be and proportionate to the size tumbler that I'm using. I thought about an inch was pretty good for me. So now what I want to do next is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that set of notes there, and this set of notes that I just duplicated is going to become the outline of our peekaboo. So that first set is what we're going to use as our masking for the peekaboo, and this set will be the outline for after everything's all said and done. So what you want to do is you want to take each note and you want to apply an offset. You want to get it to the thickness that you want it. Apply your offset. You want to highlight it all together. There we go. We're going to go ahead and highlight it, and then you're come down and you're going to slice it, and you're going to delete away the 2 extra pieces that are right on the inside of each note. And you just want to continue that with every single note. You just want to apply your offset, slice it, and then delete the centers out, and that will be our outline for when everything's done. So now the outline of the notes and the strings will be cut out in a holographic rose gold, while the other pieces are going to be cut out in just a basic black. So you want to make sure you duplicate up your notes as much as you're going to need so that way you can get those cut as well. Our vinyls are cut, our tumbler is cured, and I want you guys to know that this is not completely smooth. There's a few bumps that you especially be able to see after I get it spray painted, but I just want you guys to know that that's perfectly fine for what we're going to do. I really like the way that looks whenever I go to do my wood grains. I like the bumpiness. It makes it look kind of natural, so that's just a preference of mine. Now I'm going to take some electrical tape and I'm just going to do a tape width of that right at the bottom, blocking that area off because I want that to stay the pretty glitter. And I'll also tape off the very bottom so that way that overspray doesn't occur on the bottom. Now to give us that really cool peekaboo effect, we're going to go ahead and apply those vinyls that we had cut out right to the base of our tumbler. I am using a permanent vinyl, but I intend on peeling back my decals within the next hour of applying the spray paint. If you, for some reason, cannot get back to peeling back your decals to reveal your peekaboo and you're using a permanent vinyl within about 8 hours, I would definitely suggest that you use a semi-permanent vinyl. The reason for that is permanent vinyl gets very sticky over time, so the longer it sits adhered to your tumbler, the harder it will be to remove, and it has a chance of leaving a sticky film behind as well, so we don't want that. So if you don't think you're going to be able to get back to it, use a semi-permanent vinyl. Now, as I'm applying these down, I'm also trying to keep in mind that I want to keep a space open where I want my guitar piece to be. So I'm going to fill in pretty much almost all of it, and I'm going to leave probably about a two-inch gap where I would like the guitar piece to be. And after I get that all adhered down, I'm going to go ahead and take it outside and spray paint it the same exact color that I spray painted the base, a rustic pink. I let that sit to dry for about 30 minutes. It all depends on your environment. It's very hot here, so it dried relatively quick for me. And I was just kind of showing you guys how it does have a little bit of lumps and bumps going on my paint. Again, I really like the way that looks when it comes to the wood grain, so that's why I kept it. So to do my wood grain, I have my 2-inch chip brush, and I also have some teak wood alcohol inks, or you could use any type of brown you like to use. This is an extremely easy process to do, especially for beginners. I highly recommend doing wood grains for beginners. It's so easy to do. You're going to take your alcohol inks and go from the top to the bottom. You're going to take your chip brush and I just swirl it around just a little bit, and then I take my brush and go back and forth very quickly. And then on the next line, I just keep that line right next to the stripe that I did beforehand and do the same exact process, kind of swirl it and sweep back and forth. And you're just going to continue that completely around your tumbler. For those of you that have never worked with alcohol inks before, they dry extremely quickly. So pretty much as soon as I'm done sweeping it back and forth, it's pretty dry. So there's no need to worry about if you're going to smudge it. The only thing you do want to be careful about is if you're working with rubbing alcohol, if you're spraying rubbing alcohol around it, or if you're doing another tumbler right after this, the inks could splatter onto it or the rubbing alcohol could splatter onto it and ruin your wood look. So you just want to be very careful after you're done doing this. I'm going to show you right here. I'm cleaning my table afterwards. This is how messy it gets. You don't even realize how much it splatters around until you go to clean off your table. So I'm spraying it down with rubbing alcohol and then I'm just going to wipe it up. Look at that. I can't believe how messy that gets and you don't even realize it. So I moved right into cleaning off my table, and then now I'm moving right into peeling back my tape and my decals right in row right after one another. And as you peel your decals back, you just want to be very careful. I just use the needle portion of a weeding tool, and that really gets in there and makes sure that I don't accidentally scuff up my surface. I had a little bit of that ink seep under the bottom portion where I did my tape. So I'm just going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a paper towel and very, very carefully come through and rub that away. Now, if you notice, it might have stained your epoxy, which mine did. It did stain it just a little bit. I'll come through the sanding block and just kind of sand that away until it gets down to a nice clean portion. You just want to be very, very careful. And right after that, I went ahead and sprayed it down really good with a clear spray sealer. And then I placed a coat of epoxy over top of that. I'm going to go ahead and let that cure, and then we're ready to move on to the rest of our decals. I wanted to show you guys this, that when I was weeding my music notes for the offsets, I'm actually going to save the insides of those music notes and utilize those as well. So I'm just going to place those right off to the side to use too. So the next thing I'm going to do is take those offsets and go ahead and apply them. Now, as I got going, I decided I wanted to keep just the, I believe it's called treble clef, which is the S thing. Okay, I decided to keep that without the offset, and I thought that looked nice. It was kind of like a, just kind of mixing it up a little bit, but you know, however way you guys want to do it. Now, after I apply my offsets, I'm going to go ahead and apply the guitar, but like we talked about, I did not weld my pieces together, so I had to take some time to figure out exactly how everything needed to go. But if you did it properly, like I wish I would have done, and you would have welded it together, all you'd have to do is layer your strings over top of all the underneath pieces, and then put it onto your tumbler, and not do what I'm doing here. So after I got the bridge and the sound hole applied and the little cutesy decorative round circle to go around the sound hole put on, I went ahead and layered on my strings, and then I almost forgot to put on my pick guard. But don't worry, I remembered. All right, so now we are ready to finish up the last bit of our decals here. I wanted to add some florals to it, so I went ahead and I got these stickers right off of Amazon. Now, the thing with these stickers, they're not UV-DTFs or anything like that. They are stickers, so if you use them, you got to make sure that you burnish them down really, really good over top if you're layering them over top of your vinyls. If not, they'll lift up and they'll kind of have that white look underneath it. So you just want to make sure you burnish them down really, really good. Put about 2 around the front. And then I just applied a few around the back end as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and utilize the offset pieces that we had taken out and saved off to the side. I wanted to make sure to put those over top of these stickers so that way it gives it a bit more dimension. So you have the peekaboo underneath with the stickers, and then some more of these music notes hovering over top of the stickers. So I just randomly placed those until I felt happy with the outcome. And to finish it off, I'm going to do some pinstriping right around the bottom. I just have some pale pink pinstriping that I'm going to put on. And then to kind of layer that up, I'm going to use some nail striping tape and gold to kind of go with some of that shinier gold glitter that I have in the glitter. And there we go. And all I have left to do is add its final finishing coats of epoxy, and she is ready to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.